My cousin stood in the living room of my grandmother's house, surrounded by moving boxes and family members, and said with practiced sympathy, "I'm sorry, but we all agreed. You didn't contribute enough to deserve to stay here. It's not fair to the rest of us who actually helped Grandma." I looked around at the faces nodding in agreement. My aunt, my uncle, my other cousins. All of them standing in the house where I'd lived for the past 5 years. The house where I'd held Grandma's hand while she took her last breath. The house where I'd spent countless nights making sure she wasn't alone. "You didn't even pay rent," my cousin continued. "While the rest of us were helping with bills and medical expenses, you were just here. Just here." Like my presence meant nothing. Like the 3 years I'd spent as Grandma's live-in caregiver didn't count because I hadn't written checks. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just picked up my purse and walked to the door. "We'll give you 2 weeks to move out," my aunt called after me. "That's more than generous." I turned back one last time. You're right. 2 weeks is generous. I'll remember that. 6 months later, I received a call from that same cousin, voice bright with excitement. "We're having my wedding reception at Grandma's house. Isn't that perfect? She would have loved it. 200 guests, a catered dinner, the whole thing. It's gonna be magical." I smiled into the phone. That does sound magical. "When is it?" "June 15th. I know we haven't talked much since everything with the house, but I hope there's no hard feelings. You're invited, of course." "Of course," I said. I wouldn't miss it. What I didn't tell her was that I owned that house. Every brick, every floorboard, every inch of the property they'd kicked me out of. Grandma had transferred the deed to me 2 years before she died, and I'd kept it secret, letting my family live there while I figured out what to do. Now I knew exactly what to do. Before I tell you what happened on that wedding day, tell me, have you ever been invisible to people who should have seen you? Have you ever given everything while they kept score in dollars? And when you finally had the power to show them what they'd taken for granted, did you use it or did you walk away? People say blood is thicker than water. In my family, money was thicker than both. I moved in with Grandma when I was 23. I'd just lost my job, my roommate had bailed on our lease, and I was drowning in debt from my mother's medical bills. Mom had died 2 years earlier from cancer, and I was still paying off the treatments insurance wouldn't cover. Grandma didn't hesitate. "Come stay with me," she said. "I have plenty of room, and honestly, I could use the company." Her house was a beautiful old Victorian in a neighborhood that had become expensive over the years. 3 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, a garden Grandma had tended for 40 years. It was worth at least $800,000, probably more. My aunt and cousins had been circling it like vultures for years. I moved into the upstairs bedroom and got a job at a local insurance office. It didn't pay much, but it was stable. I contributed what I could to groceries and utilities, but Grandma refused to let me pay rent. "Your family," she'd say. "This is your home." For 2 years, it was perfect. Grandma and I had dinner together every night. We watched old movies, she taught me to garden, I fixed things around the house, learned to patch drywall and unclog drains and replace light fixtures from YouTube videos because we couldn't afford to hire people. Then Grandma got sick. It started with forgetting things, then falling, then the diagnosis, dementia, progressive and irreversible. The family suddenly became very interested in her care. My Aunt Diane wanted to put her in a facility. It's the responsible choice. She needs professional care. She needs her home, I argued when I found out. She needs to be somewhere familiar. And who's going to take care of her? Diane challenged. You? You're working full time. You can't give her the attention she needs. Then I'll quit my job. The room went silent. My cousin Jennifer laughed. You can't afford to quit your job. You're barely making ends meet as it is. I'll figure it out. This is ridiculous, Diane said. We need to be practical. But Grandma settled it. I want to stay home. Sarah will help me. So I quit my job and became her full-time caregiver. It was harder than anything I'd ever done. The sleepless nights when she wandered, the bathroom accidents, the day she didn't recognize me and called me by my dead mother's name, the slow, heartbreaking erosion of the woman who'd been my refuge. My family visited occasionally. Diane came once a month to check on things. Jennifer stopped by for birthdays. My Uncle Mark showed up on holidays. They'd stay an hour, tell me what I should be doing differently, and leave. None of them offered to help. None of them offered to take a shift, give me a break, or stay overnight so I could sleep. But they all had opinions about how I wasn't doing enough. "She needs better nutrition," Diane would say, eyeing the simple meals I prepared. "You should research memory care activities," Jennifer suggested, like I had time between managing medications and preventing falls. "This house is falling apart," Mark commented, looking at the peeling paint I couldn't afford to fix. I bit my tongue and kept going. One night, about 6 months before she died, Grandma had a moment of clarity. They came sometimes, brief windows where she was fully herself again. "Sarah," she said, holding my hand, "I need to tell you something important." "What is it, Grandma?" "The house. I'm leaving it to you." "Grandma, don't talk like that." "Listen to me. I don't have much time left, and I need you to know I already did it. 2 years ago, I transferred the deed into your name. The house is yours." I stared at her. "What?" I knew the family would fight over it. I knew Diane would try to sell it the second I was gone. But you're the one who's been here. You're the one who gave up everything to take care of me. Tears streamed down her face. "This family doesn't see you, Sarah. They've never seen you. But I do. And I want you to have the home you've made for both of us." "Does anyone else know?" "Just my lawyer. I made him promise not to tell anyone until after I'm gone. Let them think it's in my estate. Let them fight over something they've already lost." She squeezed my hand. "Promise me you won't tell them. Not until you're ready." "I promise." "Good girl." She smiled. "Now, who are you? Do I know you?" The moment of clarity passed. She was gone again, lost in the fog. But the house was mine. Grandma died 3 months later. I was with her, holding her hand, singing the songs she used to sing to me. The family came for the funeral. They cried appropriately. They told stories about how much they had loved her. Then they started talking about the house. "We should sell it quickly," Diane said at the wake. "The market is good right now." "We'll split the proceeds equally," Mark added. "That's only fair." Jennifer looked at me. "Obviously, Sarah can stay until we close. A month, maybe 2. I didn't tell them. I wanted to see what they'd do. The lawyer read the will a week later. Everything was vague. Personal items distributed among family, small cash gifts to grandchildren. The house wasn't mentioned. "Where's the deed?" Diane demanded. "That's being handled separately," the lawyer said per Grandma's instructions. "But who gets the house?" "That will be revealed in due time." Diane wasn't satisfied, but she couldn't push harder without looking greedy. A month passed. The family had meetings without me, deciding how to divide the sale price. I heard through my younger cousin, Amy, that they'd decided I'd get a small share, to be fair, since she did live there, but nothing close to an equal split. "You didn't contribute financially," Diane explained when they finally told me their decision. "You lived there rent-free for 5 years. The rest of us helped with Grandma's medical bills, her expenses. It wouldn't be fair for you to get the same as everyone else." "I was her caregiver," I said quietly. "You lived with her. That's not the same as caregiving." "I quit my job. I gave up 3 years of my life." "That was your choice," Jennifer interrupted. "Nobody asked you to do that." "Grandma asked me." "Grandma wasn't in her right mind," Mark said. "You took advantage of an old woman with dementia." The accusation hung in the air. I took advantage? You lived here rent-free, isolating her from family? I isolated her. You visited once a month. We had lives, jobs, responsibilities. Diane stood up. The point is, we've agreed. You'll get $50,000 from the sale.
That's generous, considering you didn't contribute financially. The first, you need to move out so we can list the property. When? 2 weeks. That should be enough time. I looked at their faces. My family. People I'd shared holidays with, who'd known me my entire life. They were erasing 3 years of sacrifice because it couldn't be measured in dollars? 2 weeks is generous, I repeated. I'll remember that. I called Grandma's lawyer the next day. They're trying to kick me out of my own house. He laughed. Let them try. Do you want me to tell them? Not yet. Let me think about it. I moved out on day 13, packed everything I owned into a storage unit, and rented a small apartment across town. I didn't say goodbye. The family moved in immediately. Diane took the master bedroom. Jennifer took my old room. Mark and his wife took the guest room. They were sorting from Grandma's things, planning renovations, getting the house ready to sell. I watched from a distance, waiting. Then Jennifer called with her wedding news. We're having the reception at Grandma's house. It's perfect, right? Very sentimental. When? June 15th. Save the date. I saved it. I also called my lawyer. I want them out before the wedding. All of them? Every single one. That's aggressive. You're well within your rights as the property owner, but it'll cause family drama. They caused family drama when they accused me of taking advantage of a dying woman. File the eviction notice. He filed it the next week, 30 days to vacate the property. The notice went to Diane as the primary resident. She called me screaming. What is this? Some kind of sick joke? It's an eviction notice. You can't evict us. You don't own this house. Actually, I do. Grandma transferred the deed to me 2 years before she died. Check with her lawyer if you don't believe me. Silence. Then, you're lying. The deed is recorded with the county. Public record. Look it up. I could hear her breathing heavily. You manipulative little bitch. You stole this house. Grandma gave it to me because I was there, because I took care of her while you all counted her money and planned how to spend it. We're family. She would have wanted us to share. She wanted me to have it. That's why she gave it to me. You have 30 days. I hung up. The next call came from Mark, then Jennifer, then cousins I hadn't heard from in years. All of them outraged, all of them accusing me of manipulation, theft, elder abuse. None of them acknowledging that I'd spent 3 years caring for Grandma while they sent birthday cards and complained about her declining health. Jennifer's call was the worst. About my wedding. What about it? Her voice was ice. You'll need a new venue. The house isn't available. You can't do this. I can. It's my house. You're not having your reception there. Where are we supposed to go? That's what I asked when you kicked me out. Figure it out. This is cruel. This is consequences. I hung up on her too. The eviction proceeded. They tried to fight it, but the deed was clear. The house was mine. Had been mine for 2 years. I'd let them live there, out of kindness, and they repaid me by kicking me out of my own property. The 30 days expired on June 1st, 2 weeks before Jennifer's wedding reception. They moved out reluctantly, angrily, taking anything that wasn't nailed down. I didn't care. I had the house. I changed the locks immediately, had the utility switched to my name, hired a cleaning service to deep clean after they left. Then I called Jennifer. About your wedding reception. What about it? Her voice was ice. You'll need a new venue. The house isn't available. You can't do this. I can. It's my house. You're not having your reception there. We have a contract with the caterer, the rental company. Everything is set up for that location. Then you should probably call them and change the address. Sarah, I'm begging you, please don't do this. It's my wedding day. And
It was my home. The home you kicked me out of. The home you accused me of stealing. We didn't understand. You understood perfectly. You understood that I didn't contribute financially, so I didn't deserve to stay. You understood that caregiving doesn't count as contribution. You understood that I was less important than your plans to sell. My voice hardened. Now you understand something else. Actions have consequences. Everyone will know what you did. Good. Let them know. Let them know I owned the house you kicked me out of. Let them know you tried to steal my inheritance. Let them know exactly who the villain is in this story. She was crying now. I can't change venues in 2 weeks. You gave me 2 weeks to move out of my own house. Seems fair. I hung up. The wedding happened. I wasn't there, but Amy, the only cousin who'd stayed neutral, told me about it. They'd scrambled to find a new venue, ended up at a generic hotel ballroom. Jennifer cried through the whole reception. The family blamed me, of course. I was uninvited, shunned, cast as the bitter, vengeful cousin who'd ruined a wedding day. I didn't care. I moved back into Grandma's house a week after the wedding. My house. I painted the walls, tore up the carpet they'd stained, planted new flowers in Grandma's garden, made it mine again. Diane tried one more time, showing up unannounced 3 months later. We need to talk about this reasonably. No, we don't. Sarah, I'm your aunt. We're family. Grandma would be heartbroken seeing us like this. Grandma was heartbroken watching you visit once a month while I bathed her and changed her sheets and held her hand through the scary nights. Don't talk to me about what would break her heart. We didn't know it was this bad. You didn't ask. You didn't offer to help. You just showed up, criticized everything, and left. What do you want from us? An apology? I don't want anything from you. That's the point. I'm done trying to prove my worth to people who measure everything in dollars. So you're just gonna cut us off over a house? Over 3 years of my life you dismissed as worthless. Over being accused of elder abuse for caring for someone you couldn't be bothered to visit. Over being kicked out of my own home because you couldn't see past your greed. I stepped back to close the door. Grandma saw me. She valued what I did. She gave me this house because I earned it, not with money, but with presence, with love, with sacrifice you'll never understand. You're making a mistake. No, you made the mistake. You assumed I was powerless because I didn't have money. You assumed you could take whatever you wanted because I wouldn't fight back. I smiled. You assumed wrong. I closed the door. Diane didn't come back. The family ostracized me completely. I wasn't invited to holidays. My name wasn't mentioned at gatherings. I became the cautionary tale, the ungrateful cousin who'd stolen a house and ruined a wedding. I didn't care. I had what mattered. Amy visited sometimes. She was the only one who understood. They're still angry, she told me over tea in Grandma's kitchen. They say you're cruel. What do you think? She looked around the house, at the photos I'd hung of Grandma and me, at the garden I'd restored. I think they mistook kindness for weakness, and when you stopped being kind, they couldn't handle it. I'm not cruel. I'm just done being invisible. They see you now. Too late. Amy smiled. Grandma would be proud. I know. A year later, I got a letter from Jennifer. No return address, just a postcard, forwarded through Amy. I'm divorced. Marcus left me for someone whose family had money. Turns out he was only interested in what I could offer. Connections, status, the inheritance he thought I'd get. When he found out I had nothing, he found someone else. I understand now, what you tried to tell me, that not everything can be measured in dollars, that showing up matters, that I took advantage of you and threw you away when I thought you had nothing to offer.
I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand. Jennifer. I read the postcard 3 times, cried once, then I put it in a drawer and went back to my life. Did I forgive her? I don't know. Forgiveness is complicated when the wound runs deep. But I understood her apology in a way I couldn't have before. Sometimes people need to lose everything to understand what matters. 2 years after moving back in, I still live in Grandma's house. I've made it beautiful again. The garden blooms every spring. The porch swing Grandma loved has been restored. I sit there sometimes and remember the nights we spent talking before the sickness took her away. I don't regret what I did. Not the eviction, not the wedding venue cancellation, not the burned bridges with family who only valued what I could give them. Because here's what I learned. Being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. Setting boundaries doesn't make you cruel. And walking away from people who don't value you isn't abandonment. It's self-preservation. The family still doesn't speak to me. I'm fine with that. I have friends now, real friends, who value my presence, not my usefulness. I have a life I built deliberately, not one I fell into because I was too afraid to disappoint people. I have this house, filled with memories of the one person who saw me clearly and loved me anyway. If you've ever been invisible to your own family, I see you. If you've ever sacrificed everything only to be told it wasn't enough because you can't measure love in dollars, I understand. Tell me, when did you realize that the people taking advantage of you had convinced you were the ones selfish? And when you finally set the boundary, did they call it cruelty or did they just call you names until you stopped listening? The house they didn't know I owned saved me. Not because of its value, though that helped, but because it was proof that someone saw what I gave. That my years of caregiving, my sleepless nights, my sacrificed career mattered to the one person whose opinion actually counted. Grandma left me more than a house. She left me validation. She left me security. She left me the power to say no to people who'd spent years taking advantage of my inability to say it. And when I finally used that power, when I finally showed them that I wasn't the powerless, penniless caregiver they could dismiss, they called me cruel. Let them. I'd rather be cruel than used. I'd rather be alone than invisible. I'd rather live in my house, surrounded by memories of someone who actually loved me, than in their good graces, forever proving I'm worth the space I take up. The wedding reception that didn't happen taught them a lesson I'd been trying to teach for years. You can't kick someone out of their own house and expect them to host your party. You can't take everything and expect gratitude when they finally say no. You can't measure worth in dollars and be surprised when someone shows you their value in power. I own this house. I earned this house, and no one will ever make me feel guilty for keeping what's mine. Honestly, Grandma would have loved what I did. I can almost hear her laughing